What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So I have a story time for you guys today. So grab some coffee or tea, whatever you prefer, get comfortable and hang out with me for a little bit while I tell you guys a crazy story time from my past, because my whole life is a crazy story time. If you didn't know, I have a second channel and a podcast. We are having a very exciting guest on the podcast very, very soon, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. I'm going to do my best to record it. I have to be super mysterious until that comes out, but exciting things are to come. All my other platforms, including Patreon and TikTok, is linked down below. Yes, that's me on my shirt. I used to not be able to look in the mirror, so now it's kind of cool that I can like have the confidence to wear my own face on my shirt. So yeah, that's that. I do have new merch designs also. It's in Teespring. It should be right below this video if you're interested. If you're not, no harm, no foul, totally fine. No pressure at all. Today's story time takes place in the wonderful year of 2011, where most of my stories take place because that was the craziest year of my life. Just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on this time and place and the characters involved in this story. Like, it's fiction. It's not. I was in Arkansas. I was in Fort Smith, Arkansas, on the north side of Fort Smith, right by Midland and Albert Pike. Drop a comment right now if you know where I'm talking about. My friend Robbie, who I've had on the channel a couple of times and is going to be a regular guest on the channel once we get his life sorted. He had just been released from jail. Now, he got arrested on robbery charges, I believe. He had just gotten out after serving some time in the county. He was able to bond out, and he was inevitably going to prison, but he was out for a very short time. At that point in time, he was sober. I was not. I didn't end up getting sober until October 20th of 2011. That is my sober day. The summer of 2011, I was so heavy into my addiction. I didn't know which way was up. I wasn't sleeping. I was barely eating, barely drinking water. It's interesting, Reese and I were talking about this last night, and I realized that I didn't have stability for 3 years. I was technically homeless for 3 years. I wasn't sleeping on the street, although I have slept outside before, but I didn't have a home. Once I left my apartment in New York in February of 2011, I didn't have my own place again until November of 2013. So in between that whole time, I was homeless. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have stability. I didn't have my name on a lease. I didn't have really anywhere. Prison was my address for over 2 years, my last bid, and I didn't really have like my own place, right? I had a lot of instability in my life because of my addiction. So at this time, just to get back on track with the story, at this time, Robbie's fresh out. He just got out of jail a couple of days ago, pending prison. He has not been sentenced yet, and he was sober. One night I was driving around on the south side of Fort Smith. I believe that me and the two people that I was with, we were looking for blueberries or 40s. So we were driving around on the south side of Fort Smith, and I was with a guy and his mom. His mom has since passed away. I loved her. She was such a sweetheart, but she battled addiction her whole life too. So we were all looking for blueberries, and we were going over to her friend's house. On the way there, her son, who was my friend, associate in that world, he started to talk about Robbie's release. And I was very defensive, very protective over Robbie. Robbie's been in my life for years and years. You know, he has protected me, he has saved my life, he's done a lot of things for me in a very uncertain world, in a world where I had no loyalty, no one around me cared about me. I had a couple of really solid people, and a couple of people that really had my back, you know, and those people, like Robbie, they're gonna be in my life, hopefully the rest of my life. I was very protective over Robbie, and if anyone was talking crap about someone in my circle, especially somebody that, you know, was a ride or die, that had my back from day one and did things to protect me, and it was just always there for me, like Robbie always was. No matter what dumb thing I did, he helped me out of it. So Robbie always had my back, and I was really defensive and really protective over him. Now, when I was in Arkansas, it was a whole different world to me. The game is different down there, right? And people are different, and the drugs I was on was different. Everything was different. So we're driving around, and the guy that I was with started to talk about Robbie's release, and he started to be very loud about his opinion about how Robbie got released. Now in Arkansas, if you're on parole, you can get a parole bond. You can get out. You know, you don't have to snitch to get out. You can just get out. And I didn't know how the law worked in Arkansas. I honestly still can't really tell you. I can tell you exactly what you're gonna get in New York if you tell me your criminal history, the charge, everything. I can tell you what you're gonna get sentenced to in New York because it's very black and white. And I kind of grew up knowing that system. In Arkansas, nothing makes sense as far as the legal system. And I still can't explain to you a lot of stuff that I had seen. But again, I didn't know the law, but I know Robbie, and I know that he didn't snitch. So the guy that I was with started to talk really loud about his opinion about Robbie getting out. And he said, oh, Robbie's a snitch, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you can stop the truck. Stop the truck. And he wasn't trying to stop the truck. And I'm like, you need to stop this truck. You're not gonna sit here and talk crap about my homie, you know? You're not gonna call him a snitch without proof. Now, if you call somebody that, you better have paperwork on it, because that's a really dangerous thing to just be throwing around, especially in that world. So I got mad, I got really mad. And I'm like, stop the truck. And he's not trying to stop the truck. So we're doing about 30 miles an hour, which is fast enough. Fast, I would never do this now, but I was under the influence. I wasn't even thinking clearly. He's not trying to stop the truck. I opened the door and I jumped out of that moving truck, because you're not gonna tell me that my homie of a decade, someone that's had my back, someone that I know would never snitch, is snitching. No way, I'm out of this truck. I don't care what you're trying to get. I don't care if you're going to get all the blueberries that have ever been made ever. I don't care about that. I'm gonna defend my homie to the ground, right? But we were on the south side at 10 o'clock at night, okay? And from the south side to the north side, that's a little bit of a hike, okay? So I'm calling Robbie. I know that he's home. I know that his brother has a car, his dad has a car, everyone's got a freaking car. So I'm like, please come pick me up. I just jumped out of this moving truck. Come pick me up. And they're ignoring me. No one's answering the phone, and I'm walking. Now it's summertime in Arkansas, and even though it's 10 o'clock at night, it's still like 100 degrees. So I'm pouring in sweat, and I am mad. I'm calling everyone I can to try to get a ride. No one's picking up. I'm trying to walk there, and I wasn't too familiar with Fort Smith. I just knew walk in that direction and you'll eventually go north probably. Horrible idea. I was walking for probably about 45 minutes, and finally I was able to get somebody to come pick me up and drive me back to Midland and Albert Pike. And I get out of the car and I'm just so mad. I've just had a horrible night. I'm pouring in sweat and I'm coming down. I don't even have anything. I don't have my blueberries because I just ducked and rolled. I just friggin' tucked and rolled out of a damn truck. I go to Robbie's and I open the door and I'm like, what have you been doing? I've been calling you. Like, why wouldn't you come pick me up? I just defended you to dude and like, blah, and I'm just mad. And they're all just sitting there like having a family movie night, and I'm just like, what? Like, your brother was carpet surfing yesterday, like, and you just got out of jail. And they're all just sitting there having like a family movie night, which I promise you was very abnormal for this family. They're all just sitting there watching a movie, and I'm just like, oh my God, where has everyone been? Like, why wouldn't you come pick me up? And Robbie looks me dead in my face and says,
don't you think it's time to get out of that life?
And I was like, what? Are you insane? Like, get out of that. What do you mean get out of that life? Because to me at that time, it was inconceivable to not do what I was doing. I didn't know any other life. Get out of what, dude? Like, what? I know at that time, Robbie had a clear mind. He was sober. He had been sober because he was in jail for a while, and he really didn't want to see me in Arkansas anymore. He wanted me to leave. He wanted me to be sober. But I could never comprehend that because I was at the height of my addiction. And I'm like, what do you mean get out of this life? Like, this is the life we've been living for forever, right? I didn't know any other way. So I go back to the little room that I had there, and I'm just fuming. I take a shower, I'm mad. Now I gotta call a bunch of people to try to get some blueberries, to try to get some, so that I don't feel like crap. And I remember being so confused and so angry at Robbie, and in retrospect, I should have listened to him. He was absolutely right. I'm running around with the wrong people. I'm running around defending him to people that he doesn't care about, you know, but I was living a very dangerous lifestyle. And there was a million times where people tried to tell me like, yo, don't you think you should hang up your hat? Don't you think you've had enough? Don't you think you should try to get sober? Out of all the times that people said that to me, it never hit me until I found out I was pregnant in jail. It never hit me. I said that to say this. You can say that to your loved one until you're blue in the face, but until we feel that in our soul, until we have the idea like, oh my God, I'm tired, I don't want to live like this anymore, until that thought crosses our mind, until we are brought to our breaking point in our addiction, we are not going to get sober. And I can't speak to everybody, you know, maybe it doesn't look like that for everybody, but it looked like that for me, and it looked like that for everyone I've known. I had to be tired. I had to be dragged down through so much crap to be able to finally look at myself in the mirror and say, what are you doing? You don't want this life. You certainly don't want this life for a child. What are you doing? Wake up. It took me years to get to that point. And I hurt a lot of people along the way. I hurt my family, I hurt my friends. Relationships I never thought that I would be able to repair, I have repaired. And I'm so grateful to be sitting here sober and happy and thriving. And if I did that, there is no reason why you can't. I was a very, very, very sick addict. I was very bad at my addiction. And now it all feels like a bad dream. But I remember back then being so afraid and uncertain and so confrontational and so dismissive of sobriety back then. Because my addiction was lying to me. My addiction was telling me that everything I was doing was fine. I'm fine. Everything's okay. I'm fine. And I justified my behavior because I wasn't ready yet. I really just wasn't ready yet. If you are the loved one of an addict, be there for them, talk with them, don't talk at them. Just know that we hear you. We hear that. We hear the words that you say. We hear it when you say that you love us and you want us to get sober. We hear that. But sometimes it just doesn't resonate right away. Sometimes we need to reach that rock bottom. And in those little moments of clarity that addicts get, that's when we remember your words. That's where we remember the people that had our back. That's when we remember, I have friends and family that love me. I'm gonna go to them right now because I don't know what else to do. I can't take it anymore. It might seem like your words fall on deaf ears, but I promise you they hear you. So I'm gonna end today's video here. If you guys want more story times like this, please let me know and I'd be more than happy to make them for you. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you. And I will see you in my next one.